the main thing that maybe that matters most in Greypoint Media's history, most of you, of course, already know this, but we started in 2019. And in 2019, the whole goal was to provide digital advertising services to small, medium enterprises, notwithstanding the big brands that we do have across the continent, but to look at, okay, how can we be able to take all this new sort of advertising that is happening online and pass it on to small businesses that can be able to take advantage of this new online space. And that was the vision behind that. We kept on pushing that vision through the different trials that we have done, the different clients that we had. But then moving to the pandemic, it became much more clear that this was bigger than what we expected. This was a very big market across the continent. And so we decided that for this new one, we're going to be making sure that when we decide to take on the continent, we should be well equipped. And that brings us to the reason why we are here today. The reason why we're here today is to start the process of sharpening, number one, our skills, our knowledge, and our expertise as we prepare for the war of achieving the vision of being the number one digital agency across Africa by the year 2025. So to achieve this, those of you who attended the meeting last night, it was always about how do we keep improving our skills, keep improving our targets, and keep improving ourselves as a team and as individuals. And that brings us to what happens here today, Tutorial Tuesdays. Those of you who are with us during the office days knew about Tutorial Tuesdays. It was a time to come together as a team and share knowledge and grow with each other. And there was always an impact. There was always a change in the way things transpired across office and across the different things that we're doing. So I really, really admired what Tutorial Tuesdays was. So it became something that was good for us. And I decided that as we transition to the remote working environment, we should be able to take on this Tutorial Tuesdays. I'm going to ask maybe Hamza to mute. Hamza, could you maybe mute your microphone? We should be able to take on the same things that we were doing and apply them to our remote working. And since now we're doing remote working, we can be able to cut across the continent and work anywhere. So this puts us in a very unique position. And having such a vision, we should be able to get some new skills and be able to look at people who have done it before, people who are doing it currently, and look up to them and ask them like, hey, this is where we want to go. Any takers, any advice? How can we be able to take this on? And how the saying always goes, that before you cut down a tree, it's better to sharpen the axe. It's better if you have 1 hour to cut it down. Why don't you spend around 55 minutes sharpening the axe so that you can take one swing and be able to hit the target? That brings us to this sort of arrangement that we have started today. And when I woke up today, I felt like today is a special day. Something special is about to start happening in this company. And I do feel like we are opening up a new chapter. So starting today, of course, Tutorial Tuesdays is going to go on. But I really want to stress the fact about taking knowledge and acquiring new skills very, very seriously. With that in mind, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking because we have discussed this before. With that in mind, allow me to introduce and invite our guest speaker.
Okay, great. So my name is Francis Kizza, and I'm privileged to be here. Of course, like David said, we have a story on how we met and how we became to know each other. Maybe we get to the core of this whole thing. So when he contacted me about this whole thing, I was nervous. I was like, shit, how am I going to say all the shit that I know in over 10 years of experience and working in just 2 hours and all that kind of stuff. But yes, I'm here and willing to share with you the little knowledge that I have in the industry. And I'm glad that you guys are taking the right direction, turning Greypointmedia into a digital agency that is prepared to execute ideas on behalf of clients in a way that most of the people and actually agencies at large haven't adjusted themselves to fit into the new normal in terms of media and advertising and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So a brief background about me, I'm an art person. I studied industrial and fine arts, Makerere University. That's in 2018 to 2012. That's when I graduated. And I've been in this advertising industry since then. And I've been working in the same agency for all this time. And one thing you need to learn about work is, one, it's not easy to work. That's the first thing. And then two, it's not easy to stay relevant, because what agencies do is they are always on the hunt for the best creatives in the market, because they deal with very sensitive and demanding clients. And for you to keep relevant in the industry, you must not, actually, you don't have to improve so much on your work. You have to improve yourself so much, not the work necessarily. And I'll go into that. So I've been working with TBWA, which is now TBWA Uganda. And it started off as Moringa Ogilvy in 2000 and I think 1999. I joined that place in 2012, and I've been working there up to date. So I'm happy that I'm here to share with the rest of the team my experiences in the market and what we do to keep our clients happy, what we do, the things we look at, the skills we develop to make sure we keep these clients around, and of course getting more and more clients to come on board. And of course the idea is not more, but we shall go into that detail again. So I hope with that brief background, you guys can understand where I'm coming from. And yeah, I've been working in this environment. I'm still working there up to date. So I'll be thankful for this opportunity in many, many ways, because I haven't done so many. Because as creatives, we are not so known to the public. That's why you can easily bypass me on the road. We are not like musicians, because performing art is different from visual art. You will have all this work in the market. Almost every billboard you see around, you've touched it, but no one knows you, but which is okay. So let me dig deep into the question that I'll have at hand from the Tutorial Tuesday main discussion that I have here on my screen. I can see. Question number one says, a brief introduction to advertising and marketing, how to build an advertising business in the current economy. Yes, we all know advertising is different from marketing. So while you might confuse the two words, they are totally different in the way they show up. So we've been put into this space as marketers that advertising is the same as marketing, which, and I'll be clear here, all the things I'm saying are personal opinions and observations. They are not like something that is written somewhere or something that is written in a book, or it is the right thing. These are personal opinions from my experience of doing this work for over 10 years. And why I say advertising and marketing are different is because advertising is an act of creating stuff that can be consumed by masses. So that's where mass advertising or mass got the word marketing to join it, so you can advertise. I hope this is clear. So when you produce something like, let's say, liquid soap, and you go on radio and make all this noise, TV, and make all this noise in hopes that someone is going to come and buy your liquid soap, that becomes advertising, which of course most people and marketers do. Getting out the loudspeakers, make all this noise in hope that someone is going to come and buy your product. That is advertising, which I think for me, it's a bit dying out. It used to work many years ago, 20, 15 years ago, it used to work. You have a product, get all the money in this world, push the radio ads, push TV ads, push newspaper ads, billboards all over the place, and hope that the customer will buy and you get some profit. And you do that thing over and over and over again. So in my perspective, that used to work. However, marketing is different. Marketing is showing up with a promise to people, and you keep that promise for long, regardless of whether you're selling or not. And what most companies do, they do advertising instead, and they don't market to people. But I'm going to tell you how the dynamics have changed, that advertising might not necessarily help you as an agency in the next coming years because of the change in trends, the emergence of internet, and that's what revolutions do. So the internet has killed advertising in a way that you now have to speak to someone and treat different people differently, and that involves marketing. I'll give you the best example of a marketing, I don't know, company, institution or something, the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, for over this time, have done marketing in a good way. That's why you're not forced. You're not dragged there by force. It's your parents' responsibility to make you join. And they feel a certain way when they make you join early. So I hope you guys get the difference between advertising and marketing. The Catholic Church doesn't invest any money on advertising. There is no radio ad that tells you to go and join the Catholic. So I was still telling you about how the Catholic Church doesn't do all this kind of stuff. And for me, that's the perfect description of marketing. Creating messages relevant to a certain group of people, not everyone, because everyone doesn't work anymore. We have now changed from advertising to marketing, but of course that is something I'll go into detail later when I touch the other questions. So for question one, I hope when you say brief introduction to advertising and marketing, I made myself clear. Yes, I work in an advertising agency, but that is a traditional description of that environment. But what is happening in there is actually not advertising. We are shifting gears towards marketing because marketing is the new way of advertising, not necessarily advertising as it used to be. When I joined in 2011, there was a lot of advertising, billboards, flyers, catalogs, magazine ads, standees, whatever, roadsters, whatever you guys can call these things. And that was advertising, making noise, making sure the customer sees you left, right, center, top, down. They see you. But these days, it's changing because the customer can decide to ignore you. Even when they see you, they now have the remote in their hand. And that remote is where Greypoint comes in as a digital agency. The remote is in their hand. This is either a laptop or a mobile phone or any device that is connected to this internet, this new thing that most people have just discovered. Someone has all the authority in this world to ignore you. Even when you have the right messaging, even when you show up making all the noise, someone can mute you, someone can delete your account, someone can decide to unfollow you, someone can decide to do anything. So you don't have so much power anymore. That's where marketing comes in. So marketing is different from advertising, and it takes a lot of experience and knowledge to differentiate the two because they are a bit confusing. So there is something interesting in front of the question, which is how to build an advertising business in the current economy. Like I've always told my friends, building a business is not the hardest thing because that's what everyone actually wants. People are always on their hands to start a business. You guys call it building. Everyone is on their hands trying to make sure they build a certain business. But for me, it's not so much about building a business. It's about asking yourself as Greypoint Media, what change are you seeking to make? What is so wrong with other businesses? Because the businesses that do your work are there. Many of them, actually millions of companies online are trying to do exactly what Greypoint is doing. But what change as Greypoint Media are you seeking to change? So that when I have all these millions of companies in front of me on my device, I have to say Greypoint. Because to be honest, everyone is promising the customer, I'm the best, look here, choose me. If you don't choose me, you're gone. Everyone is saying that. But what makes then the customer say, I think Greypoint have something. I think they have a point. So that's the whole thing. So to start and build a business, in the normal world, someone will say, just get capital, have hire an office, get a team, start. Most people would say that. But for me, I wouldn't tell you to just start. You must have something. And I don't know that something. I can't tell you that you have to do this, but I'll just tell you what I've experienced is you must have an offer that is so unique about you on how you do your work and the promise that you will keep consistently with or without good times, that you won't change. We all know. I can tell you, for lack of a better example, MTN has all the money. They can build hotels, they can build their own TV stations, they can even build their own radio stations if they wanted. But have you ever wondered why they don't start a TV business, or they don't have a hotel, or they don't have a radio station where they can run their ads? Because they can do that. They can get a radio station, market it, and make sure they run their ads there for free. But why don't they have it? So it takes us back to starting a business. Because MTN, when it was entering this market, their promise to the customer was, we shall make sure you guys live a brighter life through connection. That is it. And they have to keep that promise for all this time. So the promise they had to the customer was, anything to deal with connection and making your lives brighter is what we do. We are not in the business of trying to make sure we get everything and do it for ourselves. We shall run 20 TV and run the ads. We shall go to Radio City and put the ads, but we shall not run our radio station because it does not change, or it does not add a lot of value to what we do or what we promise. So yes, to build an advertising business in this market, you have to be having something that you show up with that will make us think you're worth working with. And that goes back to you, the guys who work at Greypointmedia. What is that one thing that you want to show up with that will make people or clients in this situation to think about you as the best option for solving their problem? Because if you're not making any of these clients' lives better, then it's not about starting a business. You better find a way of making these people's lives better by showing up with something that makes you stand out in this competitive environment. Because right now the customer has a lot of choice. So you better be clear on what exactly you want to change. Not to do, what you want to change. Because the things that can be done are so many, but the hardest part of these things is to find something that you want to change. That's why everyone is stuck. Because everyone is like, I want to start a digital agency because these days everyone is on the internet. Yes, fine. Everyone is on the internet, but what do you want to change? So it takes me back to that whole idea of the world has shifted a bit. You can no longer come up with things to do. You just have to look for things to change. Because if it was about doing is the easiest part. Everyone can do. I can buy a phone and start a social media account that is branded Greypoint and all that kind of stuff. But what are you changing? What is the tension? If I saw your work, how would I feel? If someone told me about Greypoint, how would I feel? Because I know it's not about social media posts and designing and resizing and what. That is dead. It's about what can these people change. I hope I made myself clear. I made myself clear on question number 1, which is about how to build an advertising business in the current economy. Yes, the building a business is not the problem. The problem, like I said, if I can summarize it, is what change are you seeking to make? Because everyone can decide to build an advertising agency, but what change are you trying to make? And if you can answer that question, then probably you have the right and the opportunity for you to now penetrate this market and offer whatever you want to offer them. So let me jump straight into the second question, which is about how to grow a digital agency in the current market conditions, and of course reworking Greypointmedia's brand marketing and advertising messaging to the current market. So there are two things here. There is something that you guys are calling growing a digital agency in the current market. So before you grow, you have to first start somewhere. And I'm glad that you guys started. And I don't know, in your perspective, if growth is about the revenue, the money you guys make, and the team that from 5 people we are now 300 people. It's a bit a wide statement when you say grow. But for me, growth of a digital agency is not necessarily about the numbers of people who work there, the amount of money that you guys make. For me, the growth is about, out of the 1 million digital agencies that are in the market, if someone said Greypointmedia, how would someone then feel? Because for me, that's now growth. Would someone say, oh my God, I know Greypointmedia and I know what they do? Or would you be missed if, let's say, Greypointmedia closed? Would someone say, no, that agency shouldn't close because they have been offering us the best service? It's unbelievable. For me, that's like what I call growth. Because growth for a digital agency, if you're looking at it from revenue and client base and all that kind of stuff perspective, then probably on the wrong path, because we have been put into this space to measure growth by money and teams and all that kind of stuff. We have agencies here that have very few creatives. In fact, they have very few clients, but the impact of their work is absolutely amazing. So is it about the monies and the client base and all that kind of stuff, or it is about what you're putting on the table? Because growth comes from results, not goals, because everyone has goals to grow and become the biggest digital advertising agency in the country. But do you have the results? Because the results are the ones that make you grow eventually. So don't focus on growth. Focus so much on the results, the work that you put out in the market. Growth will come in even without your knowledge. You will find yourselves growing and, becoming unstoppable and everyone talking about you without necessarily focusing on it. The focus right now for a young starting advertising agency should be on results. Whenever we touch a piece of work, let it be for a small client like a salon or a restaurant. How does it make people who interact with that work feel? Are they going to ask who did this work? Are they going to ask that client, can you please give me this client's, this service provider's number? I need them to help me also. That should be the focus right now, not growth. Because growth, like I've told you, we've been put in that situation by, of course, industrialists and other people to always measure growth by profit and expansion of team members and stuff, which is not the idea. Because if it was about the idea, agencies would be hiring so many people so they can put out more work and get more money. But you'll find an agency, big as it might sound, with very few people working. A team of 8 creatives, and they're running accounts that most people can't even imagine in the market. Big clients run by a group of 8 people. So it's not about expanding your teams and making more profit. It's about what are you putting on the table? Would someone miss you if you closed? And that's, for me, something to put into consideration when you're planning to start a digital agency in the market. Because almost everyone is an agency. Francis, I can decide to become a digital agency because we don't need a lot of digital skills to manage digital media buying, digital whatever. I can wake up and post for a client. I can wake up and do the billing, because I can be an agency and a one-man show agency with my phone and my laptop. So, but what will make the client say, I want to work with agency X over agency B? And what will make you stand out is not how big you are. Because if you think you want to grow so you can attract many clients, I think that's the wrong path. The right path should be choosing to matter and producing results, not chasing goals. Because when you focus on chasing goals, then you might be embarrassed and disappointed, and then you find yourself closing or running out of business. Focus so much on, I think, results. Whatever you guys touch should change someone's life, should change the client's business, should change how some people feel. So it's not so much about growth. That's my perspective. Like I said, everything I say here is a personal opinion from the experience and observations I've seen and where the clients that I work on are shifting to. And of course, they are changing gears to certain things that most of people in the mass media might not necessarily understand. And that's what makes them big brands. Seeing things that will happen beyond the time we live in. So I think I'll leave that question at that. I hope I made myself clear. Let me just summarize it. It's not about growing in numbers and growing in customer base and profits and stuff. It's about results. Actually, the growth should be in the results. Your results should grow and eventually that will lead into the growth of the agency, not the other way around. You cannot first grow the agency and then you think about results last. Results first, then growth will always come in after the results, because clients will always look for an agency that has results, not that has the biggest number of teams. They will look for the agency that does the work that matters, not the work that can be done faster. It's not about doing work faster. It's about the results. So let's look at 3, the impact of consumers' data analysis and customer data collection on a business. Well, I've had several scenarios where I've interacted with clients and people say, you need to collect your customer data. You need to understand who they are. You need to, yes, all that can be done. But what I would say personally from my experience and observation is customer data and, analyzing it, knowing how many people do this, the females, the males, the time when they are using your platform, what they like, what they don't like, is so important in a business. However, you need to be so careful with this data, because this data will provoke marketers like, let's say, Greypointmedia, TBWA, Canada, and other agencies and other flamingos and all these agencies in the market to think they have the privilege to spam or show up in people's faces without permission. So what happens is, because you know what I like, because you know what I put on, because you know the time as I'm online, you tend to utilize that opportunity to show up in my face, and it's annoying. In fact, most people call it spamming. So data is good, but you need to be careful on how you use data, because once you annoy the customer, then they have the chances and the authority to block you, ignore you, not to listen to you at all. Because, like I said in the beginning, the customers, with the emergence of things like the internet and digital tools, they have now gotten the authority to control what they receive and control what they see and ignore those people who show up in their faces without their attention. So if you want someone to pay you their attention, the key word here is paying, because initially it was the marketer to pay so that they can get the attention. Things are turning around, and then now you want the customer to pay you their attention. Now, if someone is going to pay you their attention, you better show up in a way that is realistic and reasonable to them, not just showing up and then you start yelling to them and making the louder things. You can no longer bring a mega microphone and you start yelling because you know where we stay, because you know what we eat, because you know what we like. You can't, because you need to first understand, do I have that problem? If you're selling, let's say, liquid soap, you are a company that sells liquid soap. Yes, because I have a social media account. Then you boost all these ads because I need because you have liquid soap. Then you start showing up on my pages and all my platforms selling liquid soap. Hello, I might not have a liquid soap problem. So where I need to start from is, does this data matter? Because this data can lead you into doing things like spamming. And when you spam somebody in this era, they will block you, they will ignore you, they will choose you not to appear in their faces again. It's possible. Someone can block. You can block ads. You can block people. You can block whatever you don't want. So how do you make sure you keep this person willing to hear from you? And this comes from gaining their trust and attention. Gaining trust does not necessarily need data. You just need to understand what this person likes. And this will lead me into some other conversation later on. So data is good. It will help you understand how these people behave, how these people live, what these people like, how these people show up, and how these people, where do they spend most of their time. But you need to be careful with this information, because it will make you start spamming them and showing up in their spaces without their interest. For example, if all of you guys, I'm sure you have an email address. But there's a difference between an email address saying that, hey guys, your salaries have been transferred, versus a silly email from, let's say before, the guys who sell cars saying, we have here a super custom at $3,000 what. Those are two emails. Each is called an email, but one is considered a spam. Why? because it is showing up in an environment that you're not willing to see it from. If you want a car, you know where to go, you would go to their website and find out. But they are showing up in your email, and normally you call these spam messages because they are coming up with information, because they have data. Probably you have ever registered with their, I don't know, whatever they got data from, and they know you exist, your age between 25 and 29, you need a car. So they use that data to spam you. You get annoyed. But compare the experience of the salary email and the B forward or whatever car company email that they sell cars. The reaction of those two emails is different because one is coming from someone you expect. That person has your attention. That person has your trust. You've trusted this person for some time, and this email is so important to you that you want to see it again and again. So it makes it a relevant email that is based on relevant data. Not the other way around, because marketers have gotten data from betting companies, from wherever we register, these visitors' books. They have all these phone numbers and email addresses. I don't know from where. And you're busy in your house, in the mood of watching, let's say, football. And then you see a message from, let's say, is it these betting companies, Super 3, Super whatever, and it on your phone and say, like, you can now get whatever she offers when you pay money, what. What an easier message to delete, even before opening. Because it is showing up in my space. Yes, the people behind it have my data, but it is showing up in my space, so I will delete that thing. So data is important, but you need to also understand that it's so annoying to use data in spaces where people are not expecting you. So I think for that, I'll stop there because it's very obvious. Data is important, but be careful as marketers on how you use your data because it can lead to spamming, and then spamming is annoying. So while we always spend so much time looking for data, doing data analysis and that stuff, we have to be very careful on how we use it because it's tempting. Say, oh, I have 1 million email addresses. Just craft one good email and we send to all of them. My friend, you will be shocked that people don't like spamming them. People don't like you showing up with stuff that they don't want. So I think let me just leave that at that so we can balance out time and stuff. So let me see question number 4. There's we see something like how an agency can build its content and marketing strategy to attract high-paying clients. Oh, what a beautiful question. So here the thing is high-paying clients. Well, let's now look at it from my experience. Advertising agencies have been known for high-paying clients. But before they become high-paying clients, we need to look at the background of what makes these people attracted to you in the first place. Because high-paying clients are always there. The high-paying clients are always there. So is it about you attracting them? Is it about you doing work that matters, that people out there who know these clients will tell them about you? Because you see, advertising agencies, you won't advertise yourself. Because when you start advertising yourself, then that's ridiculous. Because you have something that should be advertising you, and that's the work you choose to do. The work you choose to do should advertise you as Greypointmedia, not Greypointmedia showing up, we are the best digital agency. Please come to us. We have best offers. We can give you the biggest discounts on whatever rate cards and all that kind of shit. No, that's not how it works. So how it works is Greypointmedia in its capacity, in its small size, how small it is, sits down, starts creating work that for the clients that they have, and on hopes that these clients will go and tell other clients, because people talk to people. Someone is going to ask, who does that work? Because the agencies are not like, it's a must, you have to have big clients. You find that an agency started with a very small client who attracted a big client. I hope I'm making myself clear. So don't focus so much on getting a big client. Focus on delighting the small clients that you have. The moment you delight these small clients, then their work will stand out. And when their work stands out, chances are that the big clients are seeing, they are watching. Because someone is going to be like, who does that salon work? You can be shocked that the marketing manager of MTN is interested in knowing someone who does a salon work. Like, I think that's salon's way of communicating. Who are the people who do that work? And guess who they mention? They will mention Greypoint. And the clients will be like, who is Greypoint? I need to meet their team. So it's not about attracting big clients and then you focus on attracting big clients. You do proposals, pitches, and presentations. They will ignore you. They will tell you, no. Why would we come to you? Because whatever you're offering is the same stuff like we already get from agency X. So why would we consider you? They will only consider you if you choose to do work that matters, work that stands out, work that someone will be like, who the fuck does that work? I need to see the person behind that work. Whether it's an individual freelancer or it's an agency, I need to see these people. And guess what? You receive an email from MTN or from Airtel or from Nile, and they're like, hey, Greypointmedia, we are interested in working with you. We've been looking at your work and we are interested in, can we have a meeting? Can we have coffee? And that's how clients come in. But if your focus is on big clients, my friend, you'll find yourself doing presentations, pitches, going all out, doing research, and they can easily know that this person is yearning to get us. This person did all research about us so they know what we want. It's not about that. It's about delighting the already existing small clients to an extent that the big client will ask, who is doing that small client's work? And the privilege with small clients is you have all the liberty to do good work because the small clients give you all the platform and opportunity to think, to become creative, because you guys are thinking for them. And on the other hand, the big clients tend to think for the agency and then try to inflict their decisions on the agency. That's why the best work might not necessarily be the one that leaves the agency. Actually, the best work stays in the agency. Agencies come up with brilliant ideas, brilliant campaigns. And then because some client X is not willing to take risks, is not willing to lose their job, they're like, that campaign, we can't run it. It is sensitive. It is what is political. And then the best work stays in the agency. So the beauty with small clients is you have the privilege, because for them, they are bold. They want to make a change happen in the market. They want to stand out. So they give you a privilege and an opportunity to do good work. So don't look at them and you call them small clients and then you focus on the big clients. Because what brings the big clients in an agency, it is not necessarily about the best presentation and grammar and all that kind of stuff. It's about the results. Like I said in question number 2, it is about the results. Choose to do work that matters, that a big client would feel like they need to work with you, even when you're a small agency. I have seen big clients that are being dealt by a freelancer, but because that freelancer delights them, he does good work for them that they don't even miss a big agency. So just look at that kind of analysis and see if you get something out of it. For me, the focus wouldn't be on the big clients and then ignore the small clients. Always delight the small clients. That's where the big clients come from. At one point, Coca-Cola was a small client. At one point, MTN was a small client. At one point, all these clients that we see were small. But what makes them big so that you are attracted to working to them? It's the little small work that they used to do with the small agencies like you that made them stand out. So I think that one, I elaborated it clearly. Don't focus so much on the high-paying clients because you will find yourself frustrated when you're not getting them on time. Focus on delighting the small clients so the big client can be attracted by the kind of work you do for the small client. And if I go to number 5, which is agency, customer relations, and brand management, how do big agencies break down and distribute the amount of work required to manage a big brand? How to build deeper customer relations with the advertisers? So the advertisers, when I look at this question, it's about agency, customer relations. And I hope the customer in this point is the client, because there is a small gap between an advertising agency and the actual customer who buys data from MTN, or who buys beer from NBL, or who buys paint from Plascon. There is a small, actually, the customer of Plascon does not know anything about TBWA or Greypoint or even Scanner, where these adverts and all these fancy things come from. But they know the client. So I hope the customer you're talking about in this question is the client, not the customers who buy the product from the client. So agency-customer relations, okay, agency-client relations, of course, involves a lot of things. I have come to believe that agency-client relationship is not so much about the work. So if your focus on retaining the agency is retaining the client is overshadowed by work, then probably you will have to be stressed to look for the best designers in the market, to look for the best copywriters in the market, to look for the best digital buyers, for the best finance guys, for the best. Because while work is so important, and by work I mean the ads we do, the posters and stuff, there is the personal touch that Davin and your group, the way you guys make this client feel over work is so nice that sometimes, even when you send half-baked or not good work, the client is like, those are my people. Next time they can do good work. So at that level, it's about the relationship between the client and the agency. How do you deal with their problems? Because clients have problems too. Sometimes they don't even have the money. A client will come and say, you know what, Greypoint, we have this campaign coming up. We don't have money to run it, but it must happen. And then, David, you have to go for, let's say, a loan from the bank to make sure you execute this client X's work. The guy is like, I have a workshop. I don't have cash, but I need this thing to happen. As Greypoint, do you have the capacity to go all out for this client? And those are some of the things they remember. They're like, well, this agency might not be producing the best of the work. When it comes to understanding our problems, they do. Because not all the time client will have cash. And if you focus on cash, then you lose out on so many clients. Not many of them will have instant cash because some of them work with quarters, I hear financial what. So they want to produce something before a financial something period and then before quarter one, and then there's no money for them to go around looking for money. So sometimes it's not so much about the work. There's also top-line relationship with this client. How best can this agency help me in those areas that I need them to? So if you can help, then you can retain this client even without necessarily the best work. So sometimes while work is so important, but if you've already gotten this client, it is so important you focus on the things that go beyond work. Because when the client is recommending you, sometimes they don't necessarily talk about work. They talk about the relationships, how you handle them, things like experience and many other things apart from work. So don't, while work is important, don't look at it and say, we have to die for this client and do all the work that we can do so that we can keep them. Hello, the client can decide to choose to leave you even when they get the best work from you, but they have poor relationship with, let's say, your managing director, there is poor relationship with your finance team, there is poor relationship with your media buyers. The client can say, well, give us good work. I like the media guy. Stresses us, it's not updated, he doesn't know what's going on, and for that reason, I'm leaving this agency. So work is important, but there's that personal touch because clients, forget about brands, clients are human beings. Clients are people like you. They have emotions. They have things that stress them. They also have feelings like any other person. So don't say, I work for MTN. You're not working for MTN. You're working for that MTN brand manager. He can choose to leave you because he's a human being. He has emotions. And that is the client. So when they ask you, who are your clients? And then you say MTN. Yes, it sounds good because you say you're working for MTN, but there is a person that represents MTN who has feelings, who has problems also, who can decide to leave you even when you do the best work. So don't think work will solve everything. There is relationship, which is a one-on-one thing apart from work. That's why even the client can say, fine, I know you didn't meet the deadline, but I know maybe for some reason you couldn't, and I understand. And that thing they call understand is beyond work. The guy wants their work on Wednesday, but for some reason you can't meet Wednesday. Why does the client say, okay, I can understand, let's push it to Friday. They push it because they trust you. You've not, for many reasons, had deadlines not met, but this time around you can't. So they can understand. It's a relationship. It's not about work. Because if it was about work, then that day they would fire you. They'll be like, you can't give us our work on Wednesday, you're fired. But the guy can say, okay, let's look at Friday if you can't meet the Wednesday deadline. At that point, do you think it is work? Because if it was work, they would fire you that day. It's about the relationship and what this client knows you can do when you're ready. So it's not so much about work that and you die, you get the best designers and you look for people who can deliver garbage, like garbage in, garbage out. No, it's a relationship that is on top of work. And that's how some clients have been in the same agency for more than the time you can understand. 20, 50 years, one agency, same client. How does that happen? Do you think it's about work anymore? It's not about work. It's about good relationship with these people, understanding them at a human level, not work level or cash or whatever. It's about people. So let me dig into almost my last question on this discussion point, which is team building and effective management of freelancers to ensure effective delivery of high quality work to clients. So there are two things that I see in this question. There is team building and then there is effective management. I'm not a fan of managers. I even where I work, they know I am not a fan of managers. I don't like being managed, but I love being led. So this goes to the Greypoint administration, I think, and for the benefit of the rest of the people who work for Greypointmedia Point, you don't have to always be managed. Because managing means you're told what to do, and once you do it, you feel safe. I don't like management. I don't like managers. I don't like someone to show up and tell me what to do. I prefer showing up and I do something that then my manager can guide me about. So I take full responsibility. And one of the things that have kept me working in this environment for all this time is I'm known for seeing, not doing, because I'm not the best Photoshopper in the country. I'm not the best illustrator you can ever talk about. I'm not even the best person to talk about when you're talking about effects and flares and Photoshop and, art. No. But there's something that I do that makes my bosses, my so-called managers, my leaders see value out of me. And it is beyond Photoshop and being told what to do. It is showing up with an idea. And I tell my boss face to face, look, I have this idea. What do you think? It's risky because what if your boss doesn't like the idea? What if it puts the agency in a wrong space? But I'll show up. And taking that responsibility to show up when you're not told is probably what agencies are looking for. They are not looking for cogs, because if you died, let's say you are hit by a bus today, how long does then the agency take to replace you? If it takes them a short while to replace you, then it means you're not that important. But if the agency takes forever to replace you, basically, would you be missed if you are gone? That guy, oh my God. Because what the agency needs from you, or the managers need from you, is not executing. Because execution can be done. I can get a freelancer, I can get someone, but can we get someone who can think? Someone who shows up with responsibility, something that either can work or might not work, because that's where great ideas come from. Where I said I see where I work, it's not that I work hard or I'm the best, but I have an eye, and that eye is my ticket. So if they asked my boss, what does Francis bring to the table? He won't say he's the best Photoshopper we have in the agency. He won't say he's the best illustrator we have in the agency, but hello, he might tell you that guy sees. And by seeing, it's not that I open my eyes and just see. By seeing means I look at the environment, the people, the brands we work for, and I look for insights. So I become a sponge. I go out. I can go to a bar, for example, sit there for 2 hours or 3 hours. And my job there is not necessarily to get drunk so people can say, oh, that nigga can drink. No, my job is to understand how people behave when they are in the bar. And understanding that behavior will, of course, inform the work I do for the people who consume that product for client X. So when I'm doing work, let's say for Nile Breweries or something, I have a clear insight on what I want to do because I know the consumer, how he behaves, and how he behaves can only be gotten by seeing. So you go and see and you become a sponge. So a sponge gets, when you squeeze it in water and release it, it gets the water. And when you take it out, you can now squeeze that water out of it again. And that's called insight mining and getting ideas. So that's why every time I say, where is Francis? What is his perspective on this idea? They will say, we are trying to talk to this kind of people. What do you think about them? And what I do is, if you're speaking to a border guy, I'll be telling you how they behave, how they talk, their language. And that is my thing that I sell as a team member. So for the team members and effective management, I don't like management, like I say, I like being led. So to the admin, it's about leadership. And leaders don't know. Managers know, because managers come with a to-do list, timelines and what. Leaders don't. Leaders will say, guys, we need to pitch to Safe Border. I don't know. Is there anything we can do for Safe Border? Me too doesn't. No, that is leadership. Management means, guys, I need a Safe Border pitch. This is the problem. Can we do it now? Of course, you won't get the best out of that because you prove to know. So is about giving the team the full responsibility to express themselves. Because while we do design and stuff, we have other skills. And one of my skills, like I said, is seeing. So what do you bring to the table as a team member? So it's not about managing you. It's not about telling you what to do. It's about you showing up with something that you think will help Greypointmedia. And Greypointmedia, while they are a digital agency, you can be good at offline ideas that eventually lead into digital ideas. So you can be at Greypoint, but your job is not to design posts and the best GIFs and all those PNGs and shit. Your job at Greypoint is to understand the person you guys talk to, understand the customers. And this scenario, the customer is not the client. The customer is the person who consumes the client product. So your job at Greypoint is like, every time they want to get an idea about the clients, they invite you. Come and tell us what you think about client X. And that does not stop you from a person working in a digital agency. So digital does not necessarily mean MP3, PNG, video, whatever, social media posts and stuff. Digital is a bit a wide statement, but to stay in that environment, you need to, I think, work on yourself, not so much on the job. Because when you work so much on the job, soon or later, they can find someone to do your work even cheaper. But if you work on yourself, it is so hard to replace you because the focus is on yourself. And when you focus on yourself, the impact goes straight to the work you do. And then eventually you're relevant for all this time. Because staying relevant is not something that is obvious, but you can decide to change yourself, improve yourself first. So then whatever you do has more impact on the work that you produce. Then we talk about freelancers. Personally, I have not been a freelancer in my life, but I have freelancers who are friends. And the difference between a freelancer and an entrepreneur. So I don't want Greypoint to say, I can find freelancers who can do work for Greypointmedia. I think that is a wrong direction. A freelancer is someone who gets paid for doing work for a client. And client pays and that relationship is gone. So a freelancer can decide even to work on competition. I can do work for Bell Lager, and then I do work for Castlelight. I'm a freelancer. And that's where the word free comes from. Free means me, I am free to do whatever I want, which is different from Greypoint. At some point, you'll have to commit. You say, if we are doing work for Stanbic Bank, then probably we can't do any work for DFCU. That's what makes Greypoint sort of a company, not a freelancer. So you managing freelancers, just be careful, because a freelancer might be working on a certain project for a competitor, because that's what freelancers do. So here is a freelancer who is seated with a guy from Tascalite, and you're already receiving a brief from Greypoint for club beer. So what is the risk? The risk is that this freelancer will use maybe insights and ideas and the strategy from client X and put it in client B, and then there will be conflict of interest. Guess what happens to Greypoint? Client starts losing trust in Greypoint. Like, how come competition has an idea on what we are planning to do? Because you work with freelancers. So be careful with freelancers. And you cannot tell me that you're employing freelancers. Otherwise, if you're employing freelancers, then you are at a risk. You are at a risk of getting conflict of interest. So I don't want to dwell into so much about team building, because building a team starts with good leadership, not management, because people hate to be managed. People want to be led. When you look at, let's say, the Rastafarians, I don't think Bob Marley came and started managing Rastafari. He just showed up and he's like, you guys, if you're interested in this and this and this and this, here I am, let's do it. If you're interested in this, let's do it. It's not about do it. Because by forcing them to do it, they won't. Because this whole time people have been told to hold back, and because you're going to ask for more. Even when they do it, you're like, can't you give me more? Can't you give me more? And eventually it doesn't make sense for the people who are working. And to the team who work at Greypoint, it's about always making sure that if you left Greypointmedia, they would miss you. It's not about replacing you and they get someone who can work, who can do your job better and cheaper. It's about being missed if you're gone. And being missed if you're gone means you don't do work as per the to-do list. You show up with ideas, you show up and you have something that you want to change. That then you will go to your leader and you're like, you know what? Here is something I want to change. Do you think it fits within the Greypointmedia? When they're looking for people to leave Greypointmedia, I want to guarantee you that you won't be among the first, because there is something that you offer to them that is past the to-do list of Greypointmedia. And that's what makes people work wherever they work for longer, yet their titles and their jobs have a million other people outside there waiting to occupy that vacancy. But what is the risk of leaving you? So effective delivery of high quality work to clients. I want us to be very careful with the word high quality work, because work is relative. While you think you need to focus on high quality, I don't know what you guys mean by high quality, if it's about the biggest Photoshops and what. I'm not a fan of high quality work. I'm a fan of effective work. So the word should be highly effective work, not quality, because quality is relative. Is relative. Quality could be resolution, could be the delivery timelines, could be a lot of other things. But for me, it's about effective work. How to ensure you deliver effective work it goes back to understanding the person who is going to buy your work, someone who is going to look at your work. Why these agencies have been in the market for long, and is the amount of time and resource they invest in understanding the client. You might produce the poorest Photoshop, the poorest work in the market, let's say at Walid Mai Paka Paka. But how effective was Paka last? Do you remember the work, how it looks like? Probably not, but you remember Paka last. So Paka last was effective, but not necessarily high quality, because high quality is relative. So it's about effective work, and effective can only be measured by the consumer. The consumer is the one who has authority to say, this works for me. You might say, like the photo of the lighting. No one remembers the beautiful picture. No one remembers the lighting. Oh my God, there was some gradient. No one remembers all that shit. What people remember is stuff that changed their life, stuff that mattered. And that's the point I mentioned in the first question. You have to choose to do work that matters. And work that matters leads to effective communications, it leads to effective results, and it makes you get the so-called high-paying clients and all that kind of stuff. So the thing rotates about work that matters, not necessarily high-quality work, because there's nothing like high-quality work. I think we are past that. That used to be fine art where you put all the flares and, gradients and, all that kind of stuff to make the work look good. Because it might look good, but not effective. You've seen campaigns where the work really looks good. The guys took their time and did the work. But how effective was it? So to summarize all this thing, let me go back from question one, and then I summarize all this stuff. Advertising is not necessarily the same as marketing. And then I said, to grow a digital agency in the market, you need to stand out and show up with something that not every other person is offering on the market. Impact of consumer data analysis. I told you it's not, I'm not a fan of getting consumer data and misusing it, because you can be easily tempted as a marketer to spam people using that data, because it's intriguing. You want to try and spam them and all that kind of stuff. Then how an agency can build its content and marketing strategy to attract high-paying clients. I said it's not about the high-paying clients; it's about the smallest clients, delighting them in a way that they want to talk about you, and then can easily attract the attention of the high-paying clients. Agency customer relations is not necessarily about work; it's about how these people feel about the people in the agency and from client side. Because whether it's agency or client, we have to understand that there are people behind. So when you ask someone which clients do you have and they say MTN, yes, it sounds good, but behind MTN there is a human being. So then we have to look at question 6, which I ended with, which is team building and effective management. I'm not a fan of managers. I'm not a fan of being told what to do. And what actually probably has kept me at this agency for more than 10 years. I've seen many people leave that place. You can't work there for more than 1.5 years because it's a very intense and competitive environment. The demand is high. They want more all the time. They want you to step up. So to stay in that environment for all this time, it's not about the work. I'm not the best Photoshopper they have. I'm not the best Illustrator guy they have. But probably I would be one of those people that they trust, that when I see something and I say it to them, it gives them results. So yeah, for the team, it's about being a sponge. For the managers, it's about shifting from managers to leaders. So, and yeah, I hope I've tried to go through all these questions and share experiences and opinions. And like I said, these are personal opinions from my experience. They are not scripted anywhere. You won't say, this is a book that you need to find all this stuff. But one thing that I will need to tell Greypoint Media, and I will emphasize it, show up with something that you want to change and be clear about what you want to change. Because we already have digital agencies, millions of them across the world. You just have to step up with something you want to change. And that's what great marketers do. So with that, I want to thank you for the time. And I hope I was clear. I didn't break up. And from there, I think I can be welcoming a few of your questions, if any of you have them, and something that you might want to learn or hear from me. Thank you so much.